What's going on? Welcome to the Tay and Todd Washington Commanders podcast. This is your co-host Tay, brought to you by Fansided. And Todd, we are gearing up for the schedule release coming out this Thursday, the 12th. I don't know about you, but I'm thrilled. What is your excitement level heading into this? I mean, the draft is over. Now we're hitting a little bit of low rookie mini camp.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about this Thursday? What's your excitement level for the schedule release Thursday?
I'm pretty excited. It's because we know who we're playing, but the order does matter. I hope they give the Commanders a softball game to start. Honestly, I hope they start them off pretty easily because their schedule is definitely easier. And then I also hope they give them like 3 really quality primetime matchups. I think you got to get the Cowboys again after what they did to you last year. Oh, yeah. I think you got to get the Eagles because of the Wentz thing. And I think getting the Colts would be pretty, the NFL knows viewers and that sort of thing. Playing the Colts in prime time. Also, Tay, we'll probably be able to identify when we'll likely see the black uniforms for the first time. Because if I'm imagining that Rivera will use them how he used the all whites similarly, And I would imagine the first primetime game is when we see them, if I had to guess. So that would be exciting too. So I'm pretty excited because also once we get that schedule, then it's really just, we got everything we need. We're ready to go into the season, ready for training camp. Just got that 2-month period. How about you?
Yeah, same. My excitement level is through the roof. I'm interested to see who we open up with week 1.
Jaguars, I hope.
Yeah, I hope it's a cupcake game. The last game I could think of was the Dolphins.
Yes, when was that? 2018?
Forget.
Was that Alex Smith year? I think it was Alex Smith year. I think so.
And I'm like, can we get another one of those? I mean, give us the Texans, give us the Bears, give us, somebody, Jacksonville, who I think they'll be pretty good. But what's going on, DeAndre? But yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm excited, and I'm interested to see how many times we wear those black jerseys and how many prime times we get. I'm like you said, I'm assuming we'll probably get 3, but I know someone.
I'm thinking it's 3
that we do a Thursday, that we do the Thanksgiving game against the Colts. I was like, that'd be fire. If that were to happen, that would be fire.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that at least 3. Definitely having Carson Wentz does it. It adds a certain level of intrigue in certain situations. And, I think 3 is a safe bet. What was it? 2020 was when they got none, right? And that was, that was the ultimate disrespect. Yeah. That was extremely disrespectful. Yeah. So they got, 3 last year? Well, they got none in 2020. They ended up with 2, I think. And then last year they played 3? They played the Cowboys, they played the Giants week 2, and then they played what was the other one?
Was it Seattle?
The Eagles.
Oh, Eagles.
Right. Well, the Eagles was a COVID game.
Yeah.
And Seattle was a Monday night. So they ended up with 4, right? So I would think at least 3. So I'm excited about that. I guess we're going to get into the conversation for today. I don't know if you have any predictions for the schedule. I don't know if that. What I do know is that they better not close it out with 5 straight NFC East games again, because that is just ridiculous. That's my main thing.
I think my hot take would just be, I think we open up against the Colts.
Okay. In prime time or regular?
In prime time. So maybe Sunday night.
I mean, I could see it. I think I could see Sunday night or Monday night for that. Thank you for catching us, Carlton. Appreciate that. An afternoon to the Hawk TV and RBU. We're going to get into that conversation. So I could see that. I don't think week 1. I think early. I think like within the first 4 weeks, I could definitely Sunday night for sure. I could see.
Oh,
I prefer Sunday night too because
yeah.
I think they've played better on Sunday nights than Monday nights. But
Right.
that would be a very intriguing game. The stakes would be high. These players would know they got to show up. Rivera and them, they use that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
They cut you. They cut him. Let's show out for him.
Yep.
Only thing about that is you got to win. And when they wear those black jerseys, they got to win too. Because if they lose, especially if it's bad in those black jerseys, people might not like them so much anymore.
Yeah, no.
So that's, I guess, scheduled talk. That's on Thursday. So we'll talk about that once that comes out. Conversation for today. We're going to talk about the running backs. Brian Robinson. The title is Brian Robinson Running Back 1. Now, does that mean this year? Does that mean in the future? I don't know what that means, but we're talking about the running backs and how drafting Brian Robinson will affect Antonio Gibson, will or will not affect J.D. McKissick, and kind of get into the potential of both players. So, if I may, I'll give my thoughts on them drafting Brian Robinson quickly, and then you can give your thoughts as well, Tay. I was on board with them taking a running back, and I really didn't, outside of the first round. I didn't mind if it was in the second, the third, the fourth, wherever. Obviously, it's a position where you can get value later in the draft, the third round, fourth round, some really good running backs from those rounds. The reason being that I think that the running game is lacking explosiveness and they need a true running back. I don't think Antonio Gibson, after 2 years of watching him play, can be a 17-game carry the load while maximizing the explosiveness of the rushing attack season to season. On top of the fact that you don't pay running backs these days, he's going into his third year, and he'd have to have a pretty spectacular season, even consider paying him anything. I think that Gibson has got 2 more years here, and then he'll go on somewhere else. And I just think that they know that 27 yards is your longest run last season, while Gibson played the whole season, started the whole season, ran for 1,000 yards, which I think was 7th in the league, which is kind of surprising. Yeah. But also fumbled the ball 6 times is not acceptable. I'm glad they added a running back through the draft, Tay. What about you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I always like Breece Hall.
Yeah, Breece Hall was our guy. Yeah, right.
And Kenneth Walker, I know we mocked him to us a couple of times.
Right.
However, I like the pick, first of all, because I mean, obviously they went for need in the second round and they got a big Fedarius Mathis. Right. And to me, it seemed like they knew who they wanted all along. They wanted Brian Robinson, whether it was around earlier, that's who they wanted all along for value purposes.
Right.
Even if it's a reach. But initially I loved it because he brings a different type of rushing, in a sense,
style, right?
Yeah, rushing style to this team. Where Gibson, I was talking about this other day. Gibson, he's more in the first game of the season, he looked flashy against the Chargers. He looked like cutting, but towards the end of the year, he started getting sluggish. His feet seemed like they were heavy, and I just think with a guy like a seasoned guy who's been in a Alabama system for 4 years behind Najee Harris, Damian Harris, from what I'm hearing, and a couple other players. He knows his body. He's only played 13 games. I mean, I believe he started only 13 games. I don't know if he got some carries in between, but
not a lot.
And I just think Gibson is going to hand over some of those touches, and I don't think it's going to be in the sense of he's taking Gibson's playing time. I think it's for the best. I think Gibson is best used with 12, 13 touches a game.
Right.
As opposed to 25. And I think this opens him up more. I think they'll be able to use him more in the slot, use him more outside, and you can see a lineup with man, I like the pick. I'm not going to get into all that because I know we're going to get into that soon, but I love the pick. I think it's very beneficial. I know Ron talked about having 2 backs, and then we still got JD as well, but the pick is going to help Gibson out for the better. I truly believe so. Yeah.
Scott Turner interviewed today and was kind of asked about that. If the pick was kind of with the idea of, or will open up Antonio Gibson to do more things. And he said, not necessarily that, they kind of would want to do that regardless. But like you said, Tay, I think with Antonio Gibson, someone made a good point. Someone tweeted at us. I gotta pull it up, and kind of asked what we would think of Antonio Gibson taking on a Deebo Samuel role. Now, my thoughts on that are, one, that Deebo Samuel is more explosive than Antonio Gibson. He's a better player, but the idea I don't think is a terrible one. And I want to find the tweet so I can. So it was Vaniho. I think that's how it's pronounced. At VONJINGO tweeted out and said, "Hey fellas, I just finished listening to your latest podcast. Here's an idea for you both. If I were running the O after this draft, I would start Brian Robinson Jr. as running back 1, use AG in a Deebo type of role. That would be closer to what he did at Memphis. Thoughts?" Now, it would be closer to what he did at Memphis for sure. Go back and watch Antonio Gibson in college and then watch him last year, and you will see a clear difference in terms of explosiveness and speed, in terms of his ability to brush off contact and then keep going, not for like a couple yards, but for a lot more yards. He put on weight. Now he's apparently lost 10 pounds this offseason. But on top of that, I think he just gets banged up because Tay's not used to taking that 17-game load. I think what's best for him, like you said, is in the 10 to 15 touches range. A combination of carries and receptions, end arounds, whatever it may be. And Brian Robinson getting the other 10 to 15 touches primarily as carries. And if you need someone to kind of close things out, that's Brian Robinson, because I think that he is more physically built for that, on top of the fact that he's played the position since he was a kid. So, and I like Tay that they didn't say, Gibson, they are clearly proud he got to 1,000 yards rushing. They talk about it all the time. And I think they do like him, but I like that they were not content with what they had, especially considering if Gibson gets hurt or even just banged up, you're left with J.D. McKissick and Jarrett Patterson. McKissick, obviously an explosive player, but he can only get so many carries up the middle of the game, right? So I like that they weren't content with it, that they went now 2 out of 3 years, they've taken a running back in the 3rd round. Like, this is where I stand on running backs. You don't pay them. You don't draft them really in the 1st round, at least very early in the 1st round. But their value to an offense remains the same. Because if you have one of those good running backs, if you have a Nick Chubb, if you have a Derrick Henry, if you have an Aaron Jones, what they can do for your offense can significantly help. You just got to be careful about staying committed to them long term or giving up too many assets. And so I like that they're being forward thinking. And so I think those are my thoughts on the duo. What are your predictions though for Brian Robinson? How do you think he will be used starting day 1, week 1, and then over the course of the season?
I think he's going to heat up by the end of the season. I think he's going to be one of those guys where I think they're going to try to give Gibby every single opportunity. I mean, like I said, the first time I seen Gibson look like Memphis days was week 1 against the Chargers, and he fumbled the ball twice that game or
against the Chargers.
Yeah,
it was the one at the 2-yard line. It might have been 2, but one of them was out of bounds.
Right,
something like that.
And that's the only time I seen him like Memphis days. I think you're going to see Robinson heat up towards the end of the year. I think he'll be more pound. I don't want to say he's going to get 1,000, but I say he'll be. I mean, I think like 500, maybe 600.
600 yards.
But what I envision, I think Gibby will start. I think Gibby will take the role early in games.
Yeah.
I think you'll see a lot of Brian Robinson Jr. towards the end of the games. So I think they'll split half and half. It's going to be interesting to see because the duo will be fine. But this is where we're going to see is Gibson mentally tough? Can he handle someone being behind his back? That's
a good point. That's a good point, Tay, because we talk about, mental toughness, right? I mean, look, I'm not, you want to go so far doing this, but let's just talk about what we've seen. So Brian Robinson, 545 carries in college. Okay. 545 carries, 271 of them last year in 14 games as the full-time starter, and 575 carries. Tay, how many fumbles does he have?
Zero.
Now, sure, it's college, right? It is the SEC. It's college. 545 carries, no fumbles. Antonio Gibson, in 2 years in the NFL, 428 rushing attempts, 24 games or 30 games. How many fumbles does he have? 428 attempts rushing.
I'm going to say 10.
7.
Okay.
7 fumbles. He's got 78 receptions. So if we do 428 plus 78, close to the same number of total. Well, actually, I got to do Brian Robinson's receptions too. How many receptions does he have? He has 52 receptions. So he's pushing 600 touches. Antonio Gibson is pushing about 500, a little over 500. We've got 7 fumbles versus 0. Talk about the mental toughness. What I've seen. What's up? Shout out Rio. Thanks for checking in. Jalen, thanks for checking in. And thank you. Appreciate it. What I've seen from Gibson is it's happened more than once. It happened against the Chargers, and then it happened, I think it was I don't remember which game. I don't remember if it was last year or this year, but he fumbled the ball, right? Fumbled the ball 2-yard line against the Chargers. Other game, fumble the ball.
Carolina.
Get back on the I can't even remember which season it was. I just know that it was
Carolina,
literally the same thing.
Too.
Okay. So he fumbled the ball, turnover, whatever happened, come back out the next drive. The next play, or within the next 2 plays, they call a screen or a ball is going to him in the air for him to catch. And then he's dropping it. So he's following up his fumble with the drop. And then on top of that, the body language after that is like it doesn't even seem like anger. It seems like it's just not good body language. And when you talk about, because I'm not going to pretend like it's easy. Like you just fumbled the ball at the 2-yard line. You essentially cost the team the game, but the game is not over. You got to keep your head in the game. People on the sideline are telling you the same thing. We can still score. We can still win. You come out the next drive and drop on a play that you would have gotten yards, a screenplay against the Chargers if you go back and watch it. That's where you talk about that mentality. Versus a Brian Robinson. I don't know the guy personally, but he went to Alabama. So that's all I need to know about his mentality. Because you ask John Allen, and John Allen will tell you all these guys who say, I want to go to Alabama. And he said this in an interview. He said, are you sure you want to go to Alabama? He said going to Alabama was the most difficult thing he's ever done. It was the most challenging thing physically and mentally he's ever done. More challenging than being in the NFL. So we talk about mentality, right? Because it's like with linebacker. What do you want in a linebacker, Tay? I want a guy who does not care about his body. He doesn't care about CTE. He doesn't care about his neck, his spine, long term. He doesn't care about remembering his grandkid's name. Like Ryan Anderson said from Alabama, he said, if I can remember my grandkid's name, I did something wrong. I want a linebacker who's just going to throw his body in there and who has the mentality. I want a running back who's going to just throw his body in there and have that mentality. And I don't think Antonio Gibson has that mentality because he's not a running back. And I think Brian Robinson does. So I think that will show itself as the season goes on, especially if the fumbling continues. He gets 2 fumbles in the first few weeks. Oh, I think Robinson is your running back 1 for sure, barring injury. And yeah, those are my thoughts on Antonio Gibson's mentality or mental, because in terms of coming back from mistakes, because I thought that's been an issue for a while.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, if Gibby ends up, like I said, I love Gibby. He's one of my favorite running backs in the league and one of my favorite players on the team. What he did this year, he was like 2nd or 3rd in the NFC in rushing throughout the whole year.
Yeah.
But I think he left a lot of stuff on the field this year. He could have had a much better year. I think that
missed him by 1 year. Henry came out 2016. Brian Robinson got there 2017. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. It's going to be interesting because Brian Robinson Jr.'s mindset is not to come in here and be a 3rd down back.
No.
It's just not.
To come in here and, pick up the pieces, the scraps, give me a little three carries a game.
He's not coming in for that. It was an article written to him about Rio. It was an article written about Brian Robinson Jr. today, and they're talking about how he's seeking advice for Najee Harris. I tell you one thing: Alabama running backs are typically play pretty well in the NFL. So they do
tend to, regardless of where they're drafted.
Even Eddie Lacy had a good stint.
He had a good. He just couldn't keep the weight down. T.J. Yeldon was not like horrible. Yeah. Trenton Richardson is the biggest bust. Obviously, he was horrible. But also, you took a running back in like the top 5. So and it was the Browns. What's up, Robbie? Thanks for checking in. Gibby is running back one. He just had too much on his plate last year. He went 170 carries to 58. Oh, so you're talking about from 2020 to 21. That's going to affect your ball security. B-Rock is coming to spell Gibby. I mean, but here's the thing, man. Let's see. He said 258 carries, right? 6 fumbles in 258 carries is still horrible. I honestly, and thanks for the comment. I hadn't even thought about the fumbles to carries like ratio, right? I mean, that means he's fumbling 258 divided by 6. Every less than every 50 carries, there's a chance he's fumbling the ball. And now look, maybe he will improve with the ball security. The year before, he had 1 fumble on the 170 carries that Ravi mentioned. So maybe that won't be an issue. But the reason I worry it will continue to be an issue is because I think teams notice something on tape. Because I thought after that Chargers game, we were going to say, okay, all right, it's week 1. I fumbled the ball. I was holding it loose. They knocked it out. So I'm going to fix that. He came out next week and was holding the ball the same way. Just holding it loose. Came out the next week, was doing it the same way. He didn't change the way he was holding the ball. And it just, he kept fumbling the ball. So is this offseason, is that in his head? We'll know early. We'll know within the first few handoffs, first few carries if he is or if he's not, right?
Because teams know. Teams know.
Oh, they watch that film. First of all, they know now for sure, hey, we could get that ball out of there.
Right.
And they just see he's kind of sloppy with it. So, and my other thing is, let me look at some other running. Let's give me a running back to look up. I'm trying to think of a running back to get an idea of for what a running back one number of carries for a season would be. Who should I look up?
Aaron Jones, maybe.
Yeah, he didn't really share too much, right?
Well, Dylan got a lot, but
Okay.
Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin Cook, right? Did he get hurt? I can't. Let me look him up. Dalvin Cook is really good, man.
Yes, he's really good.
When was he drafted? He was taken in. All right, so Dalvin Cook taken in the second round. Sorry, let me look up his numbers. How many games he played? He played 13 games. He had 249 in 13 games. So that means he would have had over the course of 17, 239 divided by 13 times 17, about 312.
Mm-hmm.
So Gibson got a little bit. Okay. So that means he would have been good for another 1, maybe 2 fumbles based on the numbers if he would have gotten that number of carries. I don't know, Tay. I'm very high on a Brian Robinson supplanting Gibson earlier than we think.
It could very well happen. I mean, last year I think it would have happened, but what we had behind us, obviously J.D. McKissick couldn't really handle that.
No, and then he got hurt late.
Yeah, and then Jared Patterson stepped in a few games and did some work. So
yeah,
I want to say the Tampa game he did pretty well.
Yeah, he got a few carries and was able to do a little something with them.
Change. So now you got a guy like a Brian Robinson who he's young, he has upside. So you don't have to be so quick to put Gibby in right back in, trot him back out on the field. So Gibby has lingering issues with health, turf toe and just banged up. I don't know, Robbie. Hopefully they can get his touches to that 200, 175, 200. I think he's perfect there. Maybe get some more catches, some more screens. But I think Brian Robinson is going to have a substantial role and with the potential to possibly, if the fumbles continue, take over as RB1.
Yeah.
Not just now, but for the foreseeable future.
I mean, I agree. And I think so what another thing we haven't really touched on, and because, we can talk about how this will or will not affect J.D. McKissick. J.D. McKissick, all effort and pass pro, doesn't do a bad job. I think does really as well as he can. He's not the biggest guy. He's a former wide receiver, but I think for a third down back, you don't feel terrible about him.
Right.
Kyle Allen did break his leg, but that was kind of a fluky play, right? But with the Antonio Gibson, so he comes into the league. He's not a running back. Needs to learn how to pass protect. And you say, okay, well, yeah, that'll take some time. But I mean, pass protection to me is a mentality too, right? Like, I'm not a running back in the NFL, but it's a guy coming to you full speed. So you got to say, like, hey, you got to know the technique, but you got to say, I'm not going to let him get,
Right.
Obviously you're going to lose sometimes. There's good players on defense, but is a mentality. Go back to that mentality, Tay. Some of these reps in games in pass pro by Antonio Gibson are like, it's like, do you know what I'm talking about, Tay? Or if anyone in the comments, he just like throws his body on the ground. Like he doesn't, he just kind of like just rolls in the ground and hopes they trip up, and then they don't, of course. And the play is the effort in pass pro is pretty bad. And that's the thing. Gibson is not a small guy. He's 6'2", was about 6'2", 220 coming out. He's probably 6'2", 230 now. But I'm not seeing that he's not bigger than Brian Robinson. He's not bigger than, I mean, Brian Robinson's not bigger than him. Brian Robinson's like 6'2", 220 something. Right. But the physicality, you can see it when he runs, right? He's not easy to bring down, but in the pass pro, it's like, come on, dude, what are you doing? Like, this is a safety, this is a nickelback. What are you doing? Block him. But he kind of just, he doesn't seem like he's that interested in it, or just, I don't love the effort in pass pro. I wish I have a play in my head, but I wish I could pull it up. But I think that Robinson, we've seen those reps, from the Senior Bowl where he's done well, but also, again, back to that mentality. If Brian Robinson can become very good in pass pro in this league, well, then he has to be your guy, because being able to leave him in on third downs would also be huge. You have McKissick as well, but if you also could leave Robinson, that gives you more options. Whereas right now, I don't think they're super comfortable leaving Antonio Gibson in on third downs to pass protect.
Yeah, for sure. But what do you think about Jared Patterson? What do you think his role is in between all of this?
That's a good question.
He have the possibility to, and I'm just throwing it out there. If Gibby doesn't resign, does Jared Patterson step in and fill that role for him?
You mean like a couple years?
A couple years, yeah.
I mean, so I think Patterson, I think bare minimum is practice squad for you this year. Like, I think if he gets cut, he's going. I mean, I think so. Running backs are, they're not. I think Patterson has potential, but not so much that a team is looking to snatch him. Who knows? Obviously, I don't see them carrying 4 running backs. Right? I mean, you carry 3 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 6 receivers, 9 offensive linemen. No, you can't do that, right? It would be what, 3, 6, that's 9, another 3, that's 12, then 10 offensive linemen, that's 22, and then 3 tight ends. You could either keep, I guess, 4 running backs or 7 wide receivers. Right. So I think there is potentially a spot for Jared Patterson on the roster. He got into some kick returning last year, which could help him, right? He's a hometown kid. All that. I think at worst, he ends up back on the practice squad and on the roster again at some point in the season. I think, though, it does halt his ability to see the field much this year. Last year he was getting some carries, not a lot, couple carries. He got a couple against the Chargers, but I don't think we're going to see that this year unless if you start dealing with injuries.
So week one, what do you see the split being?
Between Gibson and between all the running backs?
Right.
I think Gibson's going to be about 13 carries. I think that Robinson will be about 10, and I think McKissick will make out the rest of the touches between third downs and maybe a couple runs from shotgun. I would guess something like that.
No, we've never really had a running back stable, I guess, this talented. So
I think that's fair to say. I'm trying to think. Right, because the Redskins, this century, haven't really done a staple. Right, they had Clinton Portis, they had Alfred Morris,
Liddell Betts with Clinton.
Yeah, I was gonna say Liddell Betts. Yeah, I never liked
that's the closest.
That's the closest you can get to it, right? Alfred Morris, and then since Alfred Morris, they've kind of just been, you had Ryan Terrain, Fat Rob. Those Jay Gruden years, you didn't really have a lot going at running back. So I think it is fair to say it is a talented group because McKissick is one of the best receiving running backs in the league.
So what? Yeah. Do you ride the hot hand?
I think so, Tay. I think you do. I think you do ride the hot hand. I think Rivera would kind of say, you have to, these kids, these guys, I mean, you really do. If one guy's playing well, you got to roll with him, and I think that I think you do have to ride the hot hand because they want to get the running game going more, right? And he's, Rivera takes everything back to Carolina, talking about Dotson, Steve Smith, and Cole Turner, Greg Olson, and then with Brian Robinson, Gibson, he talked about Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams.
Yeah.
Everything goes back to Carolina. Hey, look, say what you will about Rivera, Carolina, all that stuff. Took that team to the Super Bowl. They went 15-1. Quarterback won MVP. Better than anything the Redskins, Washington football team, or Commanders have done in my lifetime, in your lifetime. So, I think it is very talented, and I think you do ride the hot hand.
For sure.
I think you do. I think if one of them has a strong game, you let him keep running. Running is a rhythm sort of thing. Don't pull a guy out. I do worry about that because I'm saying I think you do roll with the hot hand, but I do worry a bit about one guy really getting going, boom, busting a run, good run, and then pulling him out and putting one of the other guy in and throwing off that rhythm.
Yeah, because we've seen the Patriots do it, and
right, exactly. You get your games where the running game just goes crazy, but it feels like then the opposite of that is no one can get going in the other games. Right. What is, in your opinion, Brian Robinson? And now, let's quickly say this: J.D. McKissic, I don't think will be really affected that much by Brian Robinson. I think J.D. McKissic will still get his touches. I think McKissic would be more affected by Jahan Dotson, by Carson Wentz, than by Brian Robinson, right? Mm-hmm. Because you don't want McKissic getting that many receptions because it's just, it's not the most efficient way to run your offense. Not because of anything against him personally. Yeah. You want him to get the receptions he's supposed to get.
Well, I do think he's going to be used quite. If you looked at how Carson used Nyheim Hines.
He did use him. Yep.
A lot of those wheel routes. So it's going to be
interesting. Exactly. Because he's a mismatch against linebackers, J.D. McKissic, all day, right? And one, they do have a play. They love that speed out. They love that 5-yard speed out to McKissic, either lined up like from empty, lined up in like a tight or sort of doubles, where they can kind of create a natural rub route, or he's in the backfield, he motions out, ends up one-on-one with the linebacker, and it's just a quick boom, 5 yards out. They love that. What they did week 2 against the Giants on that play, because they also love to do this, is play off of that, out and then up. So fake the out, pump the out, and then he breaks up the sideline. That's what that throw was to Heineke. Another thing that they love to do, Kyle Allen missed a great opportunity for this back in 2020. Motion him out wide, isolate him on a linebacker out wide. You've got a single high safety and run a double move against the linebacker. Not a linebacker in this league that can cover a double move by J.D. McKissic. Right? He's just right. So just like a quick 5-yard hitch and then go. And now that you've got a quarterback that will look for those opportunities more and has the arm strength to really get that, I think we may see more of that with J.D. McKissic. Wanted to ask you, and then we can talk about some of these comments. I think the thing for Brian Robinson, the issue people have is, so he sat behind Najee Harris, right, for 3 years. And who was he sitting behind in 2017? So it was Damian Harris in 17, and then 18, 19, 20 was Najee, right? Now, as a prospect, he is not the prospect Najee Harris is. Najee Harris is very good, right? With the 22nd overall pick last year. I think no one questions his floor, and I think everyone would agree he is a high floor guy. But what is his ceiling? How dynamic can he be? He can catch the ball, right? He had 35 receptions for 296 yards last season. So he can catch the ball out of the backfield. What is his ceiling? Do you think the potential is running back one of the better running backs in this league, give you 3, 4, 5 years of really high level running back play? Or do you think he also is an A or a B to somebody's A?
That remains to be seen. I could see it either way. I could see him, really taking this opportunity, and saying, why not me? Why can't I be the workhorse? But
yeah,
it just depends on what Ron wants. I could see him as a Damian Harris type of role too, they have him in New England. Obviously, Damian Harris is more of a pass catcher. He can pretty much do it all, but I could see that role as well. So I agree with Rio right there. I think it will be committee. but I think he has potential. I think he has potential to be a really, 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 really good running back.
I think he has
That's
potential
because
too, man.
how physical he is, and I think he could be a workhorse. I really do.
I agree. I want to go to talk about some of these comments. Some of them are really good, some of them are funny, but kind of just look at some of these third round running backs that have come out. Let's see. Or third or fourth round guys. 2020. Let's see. In 2020, you had AJ. Well, let me see. Let's see. Let's find a good one. Remember when we drafted Bryce Hall in the fourth round? Yeah. Okay. So you had Nyheim Hines in the fourth round. You had James Conner come out in the third. Kareem Hunt, Alvin Kamara were both third round guys. You had, let's see. Duke Johnson, who's a good player, kind of never really gotten great opportunity. He was a third round guy. Also, legend Matt Jones was a third round guy. Tony Pollard, who's in my opinion a better running back than Ezekiel Elliott at this point, was a fourth round guy. Alexander Madison, who looks like Dalvin Cook when he gets in there, was a third round guy. Cam Akers was second round. Jonathan Taylor, second round guys. So the value for running backs is there. So thinking that you may have a guy who can come in and that you took in the third round who could come in and become one of the really good running backs in the league is actually makes a lot of sense.
It does.
It makes a lot of sense these days. All right, let's look at some
Nick Chubb was Nick Chubb second, a third?
He was a second round. Yep, exactly. There's one play I want to pull up. I think this is the right play. Let me see. Of Antonio Gibson. And this is the really never mind actually, because Game Pass doesn't really work that well for me, so probably wouldn't go well if I try to do that. So let's go with this. Let's see. Rio said we need some red flag characters concern guys on the team. Rio, I agree. I think sometimes you want those guys who just are crazy kind of, but they are controlled enough. Like George Pickens, like Antonio Brown was under control for long enough to be so good for the Steelers, and then he went crazy and they got rid of him.
Right.
I want some of those guys, Tay.
Yeah.
I'll take a 15-yard, unsportsmanlike penalty, maybe 2 a year for bomb touchdowns or turnovers or whatever. I agree with that. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I would take one guy. I think
one guy.
I think we might have one. Chris Paul and
Okay. Running back by committee. DeAndre Taylor said, "Let me look up public records for misdemeanors." That's a good idea. And yes to more character concerns. You don't need a lot, Tay. I agree with you. You don't need a lot. Yeah. You just need like 2 or 3, maybe one on offense, one on defense,
right?
And one on special teams, one for each phase of the game.
I would take that.
So, is there a difference between Antonio Gibson body style, Brian Robinson? How does that make a running back different? So, let's pull up the actual numbers. Let's look at how they measured at the combine, because in terms of weight and height and all that sort of thing. Antonio Gibson measured in at. Pulling it up, Wikipedia.
I would say if you're looking at
6 style, he's 6 foot. He measured in at 6 foot, 228 pounds, 4.39 40-yard dash, 16 reps on the bench press, 9 foot, 10-inch broad jump, 35-inch vertical jump. And then let me just pull up Robinson real quick. Don't forget what you were about to say.
Mm-hmm.
Robinson, 6 foot. 1 5/8, 225 pounds, 4.5 340, 30-inch vertical jump, 9'11" broad jump. So Gibson vertical was 5 inches higher. Robinson didn't do the bench press, and his 40-yard dash was 1.5 tenths of a second faster at 3 pounds heavier.
All right.
In terms of body style, I think it's tough to measure. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would just say Gibson is more finesse.
Yeah.
And Robinson,
Go ahead. What you're saying?
Power, a lot more power. Yeah. I want to see them use Gibson like how he was used in college. I want to see him. They at that time during the draft, if you look at his highlight videos, they called him the weapon. Let's use him as the weapon, and let's use our Brian Robinson as the lead back, and let's get Gibson some touches in between. Gibson can't take on the full load of a 200 of a
Let
17
me
schedule.
Yeah. So, and when we talk about body type, I think you made a great point. Finesse. And now, but again, Gibson added the weight to become more of a power guy, and he does have power, but he is not a power guy. He's a finesse guy in like a power body now. I think he needs to get back. I would like to see Gibson get to the 225, back to that weight he was at the combine, because that's what produced. Let me pull up. Let me just pull these highlights up real quick, because it's just there's a big difference. Let me share this clip. People have forgotten, I think. I mean, I was kind of surprised when I pulled it up how big of a difference it is between what we're seeing now and what when he was drafted.
Mm-hmm.
Let me pull this up. We can just watch a little bit of this.
I mean, Gibson, like I said, week 1, I just watched highlights of week 1. Gibson looked good. I'm talking like really, really good. Like spry, everything.
Right. Okay, so you can see this, right?
Yes.
Right. And if I go full screen, you see it full screen?
Yes.
Okay. So did you see that move he just pulled? Let's go back to this, right? Hand off. Get off of me. Get off of me. Get off of me. Get away from me. I'm gone. I'm going. Tay, he has not broken a run like this in the NFL.
No.
Now, I know this is college, but we haven't even seen really close to this in terms of staying up. He's shown that kind of level of wiggle, but he has not shown that ability to pull away like that, like he did on this run. Yeah. He has not shown breakaway speed. Let's go to the next one. His feet get caught up a lot in the NFL. His feet did not get caught up there.
Yes.
Again, he's not stumbling. He stumbled, but he recovered. He caught himself. Right. In the league, he stumbles and he goes to the ground. Look at that again. That's when he originally goes. The guy goes low. He gets around him. He keeps his feet under him. He's getting tackled in this situation in the NFL. Yeah. His feet are these are the plays that got him drafted. Let's see. See this one right here. This is a kickoff. I mean, we're not seeing that level of explosiveness and getting and breaking that tackle in the open field. No. Not like that.
He'll break that.
No, he's not doing that. We haven't seen that. So this is what I'm talking about, Tay. And if you're watching and you're seeing these highlights, if you've seen this from him on the Washington football team / Commanders, show me the play. Look at this pull away. Look at this break. There's 5 defenders, 7 defenders, and he's getting away from all of them.
Yeah.
Again, I know that this is college, but I'm talking about the explosion after the catch and the ability to maintain his balance more even than not getting caught. Now, I know that we had that play against the Bills, but that's the only one we can point to. That cutback, that was quicker than the cutbacks he does now.
Yeah.
That little jump cut.
Yeah.
His hips feel like his hips are bigger.
Yeah.
No homo. It feels like his butt is bigger. Okay. Like, I'm probably going to get judged for saying that, but you know what I mean? So I think that the difference in body style is, like you said, Robinson is strictly power. And Gibson is finesse / power now, but kind of is in between the two and isn't great at either of them. Gibson is not a running back. He's definitely, I don't think, a full-time NFL running back. I think he's a 1A, 1B kind of guy.
Right.
Kamara has never had 250, and that's a good point, Robbie.
Great point. Great point.
And I compared Gibson to Kamara when he was coming out. I thought Kamara was better. Kamara was also what I think I said, a 3rd-round pick. But Robbie, I'd like to see the Commanders use Gibson more of how Kamara is used in New Orleans.
Right.
I want him to how much does Kamara weigh? Because I know Kamara can't be much bigger.
Yeah, you use Ryan Robinson as a Mark Ingram.
Exactly. Kamara was a 214, right? Honestly, I think that Antonio Gibson at 214 would be very explosive.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor, he's very good.
Yeah.
This is probably something we were saying at the time, but I'm not sure. Gibson fumbles too much. Very true. Ron is going to use Gibson and Robinson like he did with William Stewart, Carolina, and he alluded to that.
Yeah. We should look up, probably not right now, but we should look up how he split carries. How the carries split between
Robinson and Stewart and D'Angelo Williams. Let's see. That was what, like 2015. There was a year where they both ran for 1,000 yards,
That's
and that's insane. Let me see. I'll see if I can find it. Let me pull up.
Can you imagine if that happened? Oh my goodness, that would be
right. The Jonathan Taylor comment was when I was saying a running back and how many carries he got in a season. That's the perfect one. Sorry, thank you. Yes, Jonathan Taylor had 332 rushes last year. Okay, so yeah, about the Gibson at 332 carries in a season. I think that wouldn't be no.
Yeah, right.
So thanks for that one. I think that both Brian Robinson and Gibby will flourish together. I think that taking that load off of Gibson will help Gibson, and I think Brian Robinson is between the two more capable of carrying the larger load.
Right.
More than likely, what's going to happen throughout the season is Gibson is going to start games and Robinson will get his touches. Gibson pass catching is highlighted in the hybrid Air Coryell. That's fair. I don't disagree with that. I want to see Gibson on some underneath crossing routes, some easy routes. He's not the best route runner, but get him the ball in space and see. He can turn the corner on guys. I do still think he can do that, especially if he's lost the 10 pounds. And with B-Rob, of course, getting his calories as well as carries, as well to keep Gibby fresh. Ground games, we have a lead. We'll see more B-Rob. So pretty much Gibby starts, Rob finishes. Tay, that's what you said.
Yep. That's what I can see, especially in those closeout games.
Yep.
I definitely want to see. That's what I definitely want to see.
Yeah. And I think Brian Robinson's going to catch a lot more screens than we anticipate now. He's good. He's good catching the ball. And one thing I think Gibson kind of has, when he gets the ball through the air in like a screen situation where he's not catching it and running in stride, he's catching it and then having to burst up the field. It takes a half second longer than you would like. I think that's the weight he added to play running back in the league. Because the screen game I've talked about, it's abysmal.
Here goes something for D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan.
Okay.
Stewart. So we got 2009. D'Angelo Williams had 216. Jonathan Stewart had 221. 2010. Wow. Jonathan Stewart had 178, and 2010. I think he must have got hurt, but he had 87. D'Angelo Williams at 87. 2011 and 2012 for D'Angelo Williams was 115 and 173. 2011 and 2012 for Stewart was 142. So it looks like they fluctuate between 170, 142, and about. See, they were all injured in different courses, but it looked like it was pretty even as a total of about split between 325 or 350, something like that.
320. Okay, was 325 and 350 total altogether attempts, rushing attempts. Okay, looking up, the Commanders had 356 rushing attempts last year.
Okay, look, 2015. I'll give you a good example. Jonathan Stewart had 242 for 989. D'Angelo Williams had what did I say?
2015. 15.
Okay, so never mind. They're both hurt. He played for a different team. I'm trying to give a good. Let's see, 2009. Let's see. 2009. Let's see. Okay, 2009. 13 games played by D'Angelo Williams. He had 216 for 1,100, and then Jonathan Stewart had 221 for 1,000.
Okay, so 2009 was the year they both went for 1,000.
Right. And they both had 200 plus carries.
Okay, so that means that they're over 400 on carries, on attempts. Right. So, yeah, there's no chance of that happening. There's no chance that Washington runs the ball over 400 times. They ran the ball 356 times last year. I mean, I guess I won't say no chance, because if the offense is better, you got to have more plays. Right. They ran 885 plays total, and the other teams ran 1,079. If the Commanders' offense gets better, they should be running 1,000 plays. And in that 1,000 plays, maybe you do have an extra 50 to 100 carries. At least, I think the split should at least be like that once the season is all said and done, right?
Right.
But again, if that's the mindset Rivera has, then that's probably what we will see.
Yeah.
In terms of character guys, well, we had Darius Geis, Reuben Foster, and Quentin Dunbar.
But
That
they
is
weren't
true.
dogs. Like they weren't like dogs. We're talking about like an Antonio Brown,
Yeah,
like a Larry
yeah.
Tunsil,
Look, Geis had his issues, but he's a good player.
Yeah,
He just couldn't stay healthy, and he had off the field issues.
yeah,
But
like a Randy Gregory.
right. Yeah. Right, exactly. Gibson is best in open space. I tend to agree with that. So I think you try to get him the ball in open space more consistently. That's what's scary. B-Rob is not broken away, nothing in college. So in the NFL, he will be caught. Chubb, Henry, Panthers faster and powerful. Chubb. He will be caught. Chubb, Henry, Peter. What is saying Nick Chubb and Henry are here's the thing. Derrick Henry and ran the same 40 time, but Derrick Henry is better. Nick Chubb, I'm not sure what he ran. Let me pull it up. Look, if you're saying that Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry are better, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I don't think, but I also think that Gibson, Chubb ran a 4.52. But I also think that Gibson, and thank you for the comment, is like a 4.5 guy, or was a 4.5 guy last season. Combined with the weight, combined with the injuries, combined with the course of the season, I think he was more of a 4.5 guy than a 4.39 guy last season.
Right.
Well,
that's the thing. I mean, even Gibson, I mean, he had breakaway in college, but he's had nothing in the NFL. So it varies. I think he's faster than Gibson. I think he has more breakaway speed than Gibson right now.
Because he looks faster than 4.5 when you watch him against SEC defenses, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, Chubb and Henry are better. And I'm curious to see about Brian Robinson's ability to break away. Maybe when I say break away, I mean like break the very last tackle, the safety's not catching you.
Right.
But Brian Robinson, I think, will be able to break away for more than 27 yards.
Oh yeah.
I think that. Good morning to Yam in Japan. I am assuming you're actually in Japan, and that's where you're saying good morning. So good morning to you. It's 5 o'clock here. And that explains why he lost the weight this offseason. He's trying to get that explosiveness back. And that's exactly what he needs to do.
Yeah.
I think he sacrificed some of that explosiveness for the bulk. And I think they probably told him, so, we need you to lose some of that weight, lose some of that bulk, get some of that explosiveness back. And,
get another guy in here.
Exactly. Get him back to that 170 range of touches. Get a guy who can take another 170 or so touches. McKissick gets the rest of them. I agree. Who do you think Robinson is like as a comp? Because I was in Detroit for a while. I went, wow, he's kind of like Barry, but I dare not say that loud. And I don't know about Barry Sanders. Brian Robinson, for me, it's tough because if you say like Derrick Henry, then people, Derrick Henry's like, before last year was the best in the league just because he got hurt. But I'm gonna say Derrick Henry, but just a light Derrick Henry, a light version of Derrick Henry. That's the crazy thing. Derrick Henry he gets away from everybody, but he ran a 4.5. Isn't that crazy?
Right.
But I'll say Derrick Henry light, not Derrick Henry.
I'll say Kareem Hunt.
Okay, Kareem Hunt's solid. I like Kareem Hunt. That's solid. Yeah. Kareem Hunt burst onto the scene his rookie year. Yeah. Kamara's not Gibson. I agree. I think Kamara has better contact balance.
Yes.
I think he's more shifty. I think he's better once Kamara catches the ball and just, I don't know. He just automatically just starts, I don't know, getting upfield and it just looks so natural when he catches the ball and starts going upfield. It looks less natural for Gibson. Timothy, Luke, what's going on?
Going on, Tim.
Thanks for checking in. 1-2 punch. That is it. I agree, man. I just saw that you guys were Vaughn. Oh, okay, Vaughn. Yeah, that's who shared that comment. I brought up your comment earlier about Gibson and the Debo role. Appreciate you. Appreciate the love. We like to think we know what we're talking about. There are definitely some people who think we're idiots. But thank you. Appreciate it. And we intend to keep up the good work. Thanks for checking in.
Thanks, Vaughn. We appreciate it.
Yes, definitely. Thanks, Mark. Rivera wasn't coaching till 2011. But yeah, right. Okay. So when they had that success, that level of success where they were both running for 1,000 yards, that wasn't even Rivera. He had them there for a period of time. Gotcha. But yeah, so I think that is a good point because 2009 was definitely before Rivera.
Yeah.
But I think he still, he knew what was going on and stuff. So Yeah, but there's no chance that you have that level of split. And thanks for the comment, Leon. 50 total. If we're going with the 350 total, 170 for Gibson, 145 for Brian Robinson, 35 for JD. How many did JD get last year? Let me look it up. And also, let me say, let me see. Dave McKissick last year, rushing attempts. He had 85 in 2020. He had 48 last year. He missed 6 games last year. So I think, honestly, but maybe Brian Robinson's taking some of those. I think they're in the 350 to 400 range in terms of total carries. So I think that split is not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Slim Gibby has the best chance to be the best Gibby.
Yeah. Or you can look at a split like in Green Bay where you got, obviously Ron's not the coach, but if we're looking at splits in total, we're looking at Aaron Jones 171 and AJ Dillon 187.
Say that one more time for me.
Had 1,000 yards though. So
can you say that split again for me?
187 to 171.
Wow, that's much more of a split than I thought they were getting because Aaron Jones was scoring all the touchdowns, right?
Right.
Okay. Wow, that's a pretty solid split. And how many yards do they each have?
Dillon had 803, and then Aaron Jones missed 2 games, but he had 171. I'm sorry, he had 799.
799. Okay.
So about 15 altogether.
Okay. Let me look up one more. The Browns with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. You had in 2020. This was, you remember the Washington football team at the time played them, lost that game. They were just running it so easily. That was their most, split down the middle. 12 games for Chubb, 16 for Hunt, 198 and 190. Chubb had 167. Hunt had 841. I think that's a best case scenario, but that's more of a run first offense, and I don't know that the Commanders will be a run first offense.
Or the Patriots 202 and Damian Harris had 202 and Ramondre Stevenson had 133. So
okay, something like that. Question is who gets what?
One of them will get 1,000 yards this year.
I agree. I think they and I don't think they care if one of them gets it. I think they want total efficiency. In that situation, who should have the 202? Who should have the 130? Robinson or Gibson? Robinson.
My man said he wants to keep Gibby at 170, so we keep Gibby at 170, and we put my man Brian Robinson Jr. at 202 because he can handle it.
Right. I agree. In Japan, I prefer a backfield by committee system. You're keeping your guys healthy, throwing multiple looks out. If one goes down, you still got 2. Yeah, they definitely need that for sure. Last year, McKissick got hurt. Gibson was banged up, and Patterson, I don't think was ready to carry that load. And we can hit these last three comments. What do you want to see out of Robinson to make his pick with the 3rd round? I'm assuming you mean to make the pick kind of worth it, or honestly, if there is clearly more explosiveness in the running game and he's a part of that, then I get with that. Yeah. If the running game is more effective, if it's more explosive, if he shows a running game that is more explosive, I'm good with that.
Right, and what I want to see is just getting those short downs, those short yardage,
3rd and 1s, 4th and 1s, right?
Those 3rd and 1s, 4th and 1s that we struggle with, and I want to see maybe about 500, 600 yards.
That's solid. Aaron Foster, that's not a bad one either. Aaron Foster was on a tear there for a minute.
I like that.
He was on a tear, yeah. And then Leonard Fournette is also not a bad comp either. I think he may be better catching the ball out of the backfield than Fournette was coming out. Mm-hmm. But that's not a bad one. That's not a bad comp. Yeah. Leonard Fournette in the 3rd round Leonard Fournette in the 3rd is big. The big difference than Leonard Fournette at pick number 7. Huge difference. Sure. Also, Fournette was drafted to the Jaguars, right? Yep. Yeah. So okay. Well, yeah, I think that's a great conversation about the running backs, and I think that it will. I think it's really going to be a split. Rivera talking about Stewart and D'Angelo Williams. They have a vision for how they want it to be. Right. I think it will be a split, and I think if you have those fumbling issues, it will be less of a split in favor of Robinson.
Right.
And Yeah, and I don't think McKissick's playing time will be as affected because I think J.D. McKissick is still pretty critical to the success of this offense. They struggled more once he got hurt, especially. That's all I've got. I think it's been a great conversation. We've got 55 people in the chat. That is awesome. Assuming people headed home from work and stuff. Tay, I know that's about to be you headed home from work. Get to you a little longer. I am both at work and at home right now, so I'm gonna go walk to the couch. Yeah, exactly. But thank you everybody for tuning in. Again, we're just doing this because we would be recording now, and instead of just recording, we say we might as well go live and it'll be uploaded. So figure that makes sense. And if 57 people want to join us while we record and help us, give us more talking points, absolutely, I'm all for it. Aaron, thanks for that. We plan to do more live streams. Plan to do some evening ones
Thursday night.
Is it Thursday night for
the schedule release?
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good idea, Tay. I like that. The reason, our recording schedule is just, it's not, we don't have a schedule. We just do it. We just do it. So that's why we go live randomly. We don't announce it because we don't know when we're going to record. We can't tell you when. The way it works is Tay texts me or I text Tay, say, record today. Yeah. What time? 1. Okay, cool. And then 1 comes and says, actually, maybe we could go to 2. Okay, cool. 2 comes. I'm ready. He's ready. Cool. And then sometimes it says record today. Yeah. And then we don't record that day. So it's just that's why we rarely have guests, because we're not organized enough. But despite all of that, thank you everyone for checking in and for the support. So yeah, thanks guys. So headed home from work. Thanks for checking. And I guess Grant and Danny could be talking about the Caps or anything if you want to hear about, because that's who's on 106.7. So maybe if you want to hear something about the Commanders and check in. Salute to you. Alfred Williams. I think it'll be more like 2 with J.D. McKissick. And definitely more lives. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Appreciate you guys. Absolutely. We're all just crazy psycho fans, and we just love to talk about this team, and that's what we're going to keep doing. So thanks for checking in. This is Todd.
This is Tay.
We'll talk to you again soon.